Full moon blessings to you. Full moon in Taurus. It's my moon in Taurus, and hence me making this video today, because it's a really key day. In the White Mirror Wave spell, we're on day 6 and we're here, and it's blue rhythmic night, getting into the rhythm of the conscious dream, being the conscious dreamer. So we've got Sun in Scorpio, we've got Moon in Taurus, and we've got that axis of survival and going beyond survival into deeper and deeper places through healing our intimacy wounding, which often is around base survival code. Very, very key to understand what our structure is. Blue night, the planet is Saturn. Our Saturnian structure holds the key to set us free from all hellish experiences on Earth. I've just been watching some of a film about narcissism, recovery from narcissism, patterning, and how to create healthy relationships now, which, when we have grown up with very narcissistic frameworks, this is difficult. And I offer you that we've all grown up with narcissistic frameworks in some way, because most human beings have experienced huge survival issues over the past couple of 100 years, at the very least. Just talking about very recent history that affects how human beings relate. So this isn't a blame game. This isn't about judging people. This is about discernment. This is about it is what it is, which is Isis, which is Taurus energy. No bullshit, practical, grounded ways of healing, basically. Again, healing ourselves, stopping these old patterns and all our narcissistic behavior that is unhealthy, that is one-sided, that means some person has more of a say or power play, basically, so that we can come into balance on the inside and get clear of these old ancestral patterns. Because we are the conscious dreamers now. If you're watching this and you know the language that I'm speaking, then you are a conscious dreamer. To awaken, to be aware of these frameworks is step 1. To go beyond that and to start refining them is step 2. To do your own personal transformation process is step 3. And step 4 is where we see ourselves as human beings and the manifestation of that process. And that process is eternal, to go deeper and deeper and deeper, to keep clearing until we're at a place of alignment. So again, we're in the rainbow strand, we're in the center of the Zolkin. This is the 20-day process. And so Taurus full moon, I'm just going to read you that. It's at 19 degrees. I'm still in that energy as I'm making this video. It happened at around 1:35 in the UK. And here we go. Taurus 19 degrees. A crown turns into goat horns. A remarkable instinct for the next lesson, finding it, learning it, and drawing everything out of it that you can. Specialised in destiny activation and interested in nothing else. purposefully driven to take up karmic lessons all the way, wildly given over to what is taken on, working the territory as hard as you can, making way for something new by wearing out the old, assigned to tough situations, yet knowing it is appropriate. Super strong and especially tenacious and relentless. In deepest essence, sacrificing yourself so that something can happen here that's going to take a lot of doing. And inside it all, you are curiously resigned to whatever arises, not very concerned, because long-range results mean everything here. And a moment's or a lifetime's discomfort is a small price to pay when destiny is truly involved. In terms of doing the process that I talk about, it's about knowing your cosmic codes, it's about knowing your patterns, it's about knowing your personal family patterns. And that's it on one level, that's it. Know your past, know your future, because you are just going to be repeating that history. This is what we see on planet Earth. It's a repeat of history over and over and over again. Geographically, it's a repeat. If you look at particular areas, if you look at particular houses, if you look at stately homes, for example, in the UK, what created them and what is still running them now, and how on one level nothing has changed around power imbalance and our society in the West. So it's about a lot of people doing a lot of work for little pay so that a small amount of people can benefit from that. And logically we know all of this. This is another reason why, if you actually go deeper, you will realize why this has to happen. People talk and talk and talk about things, and they talk about their story, they try and understand other people's stories, and spend years in therapy, for example, talking about stuff, trying to figure it out, trying to assume reasons why somebody did something, but in truth, we don't know. Because often the people who do it don't know. And so we're all lost in this bullshit, literally, this trying to figure it out, not feeling safe, not wanting to trust our feelings, overriding our intuition, and doing the same old same over and over again and getting the same outcome. Only now these outcomes are getting bigger, because we're coming up to the end of the spiral. We're coming up to the end of time's revelation. And so that it's time for people to actually understand what karma means. And karma is all about patterns. This can create feelings of despair, literally, and that's a good match. It's a really good match to have feelings of despair. It's really good to have feelings of anger about this, about people manipulating other people, people holding people in fear, bullying people, all of that sort of energy. It's a natural response to be angry and frustrated and sad and to feel despair at this time around our patterns, because they really are hurtful, they really are extreme now. Human beings have done terrible things to human beings for a very, very long time. And that is the story. And all this other stuff that we've made up around it's all happily ever after now, because, you know, we've got the latest car and we've got a nice new kitchen. And, you know, if you look at history, when this consumerism came in big time, you will see how it's just a great big diversion around kidding ourselves, you know, that the world wars actually got us somewhere and people changed and, you know, we're all nice to each other now. It's, you know, it's nonsense. So we've got to get down to brass tacks, face reality, and understand our own personal pattern and the choices that we have made. And in order to stop doing this behavior, which is linked to the emotional mind, it is not logical. This is a key understanding. Do not try and apply a logical framework. Do not think that you can get out of this with positive affirmations or believing that you are something else in the future and, trying to avoid going into how all of your situation makes you feel by using distractions and coping mechanisms, because it's still there underneath, and what's underneath is what is creating now. This time of year, that's what it's about. It's about going into all of those stories and getting clear about what created the wounding for you, how you're still holding on to it in some way, how to let go of it, how to become emotionally free, emotionally resilient, intelligent, and start to live a different way. Otherwise, nothing will change, and the situations that you find yourself in will just get bigger and bigger and bigger until you pay attention, until you do this healing work. And on a positive intention, that is what this is all about. This whole journey up to now of human evolution is about learning about what hurts, learning about what does not create joy for human beings. Almost being very, very small infants, we know what we need. We know how to survive. We've picked it all up in the womb. This is not an intellectual process. This is a deep knowing process that we come with. And in order to access this wisdom, we have to listen to our emotions, because our emotions give us guidance, give us intuition as to something not being right, because we can feel it. People who have turned off their feelings so that they can do very abusive, sociopathic behavior are along the narcissist trail. They don't want to feel anything. They don't want to remember that the behavior that they're doing is very abusive and destructive for other human beings. So again, we see it all in the movies, literally. Star Wars, Darth Vader, don't go to the dark side. All of that is based on true frameworks of human beings and how they work. If we don't listen to our hearts and our feelings, if we don't see the evidence of behavior, but we just keep listening to words, deceptions, if we don't honor our deep inner wisdom, then we carry on running the old hell movie, because we're not prepared to mature as a human being and take responsibility for our life. Once we are an adult, a mature human being in terms of age, around the age of 30, then we stay as a child. And most of us are children in some ways. Most of us are still trying to make other people responsible for us, or overcompensating in some way because of childhood wounding. So this is really key now, to come to terms with our past, know it, log it, know what our coping mechanisms are, our distractions, all of the unhealthy ones that we do. They have allowed us to survive. If we want to thrive now, then we have to learn healthy ways to cope with life on planet Earth and to form really good, healthy relationships, first and foremost with ourselves, by letting go of all past times when we haven't been in healthy relationship, and then learn new ways and embody them and be really disciplined around making sure that there's no slipping back into old habits. A lot of the habits are often easy to do and have developed very strong energy pathways, emotional pathways in the amygdala in the brain. And this is a learned behaviour. Any coping mechanism that is a mood changer, it isn't about that. Often they get labelled as the thing, as the disease, as the problem. They are just a mask. They are just there to stop the pain. And once we learn a tool of how to feel the pain and deal with the pain and let it go, then we come into a place of emotional freedom. The dream is already written. This is what I offer you. The potential to live an amazing life on planet Earth is right here, right now. And anyone and everyone can have access to this if they're willing to do this inner work. And in my understanding, and if you look at the science, and you look at all the reasons around why I am speaking about these frameworks, then you realize that it makes sense. It actually makes sense. You cannot possibly learn how to live in the world from somebody else. You can have guidance. You can take courses, you can read books. Ultimately, when you understand that you have a DNA code within you to replicate all of your family's patterns, then you'll realize why all of this other stuff will not change that. It cannot change that. Most of the people who are creating frameworks or speaking about change, speaking about wisdom, are not doing their inner work on their ancestral patterning and story. They are not coming from a clear place. And these are wildly different places. We are here to embody a framework that comes from clear human being spaces, not from old stories. And this is essential to understanding this process now. So I wish you an amazing day of conscious dreaming and seeing how whatever you're doing today will replicate itself, will be part of your path in the Taurus sun time. Where will you be then? Who will you be then? Where will you be on your pattern and your code then? Will you be consciously aware of it? Will you understand it? Will you see what you're revisiting? The cards that I drew today are, get those. In the Mayan Oracle, White Wizard, the Moon Goddess, And remembering that we started this new 13-year cycle on the 26th of July. So when we go into 26th of July next year, we'll be going into year 2. And that means we'll be going into blue lunar storm year. And so we'll be seeing all of our emotional stuff coming up as new learning around what we've been doing in the first year, this year. So everything that's happening now, we're going to be going in deeper into transformation next year on the planet. And the card that I got today which I can't find, is the it was a 2 of Swords anyway, which is peace. And so, I don't know where that's gone, but it's a mystery. Anyway, 2 of Swords, peace. And so what has created peace in your life? More of that. And what doesn't create peace for you, as in your thoughts? This is really key to understand. The moon goddess is all about self-empowerment and all about letting the magic flow through us. So releasing any belief that we are actually in control of anything here. We come here to play a cosmic game of human evolution. This is really essential to understand. We're all in this together. And so the next 13 years is all about our self-empowerment, how we feel self-empowered, what we need in relationship to experience that, and how we feel disempowered. And all the times in the past when we felt disempowered, hold the key to our learning and hold the key to our peace. When we make peace with our story up until now, when we accept it all, that doesn't mean accepting abusive behaviour. It means going through all of our life journey up until now and getting clear of any emotional resonance that is not peaceful. That's what it means. This isn't about adding things to ourselves. This isn't about new learning in addition to anything so that we can create something different in a, or I'll run a company sort of sense of a thing. This is about new learning about us as an individual. Who am I? Chiron in Aries now. Who am I? Who do I believe I am? And where am I still struggling? Where am I experiencing feeling disempowered in my life? This is a huge threat. If you want to know any more about your cosmic code or the cosmic code on the planet, how it's affecting your chart, where you are on your 13-year cycle, how to work with creating a manual for yourself, and how to use emotional freedom technique to clear off these old stories, please do get in touch with me, because it means the time is right for you to start making some major life changes. Lots of love. Bye for now.